Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Keep It Camper. So I started planning this truck project out a few months before I actually started working on it. One of the things that got stuck in my brain that I just couldn't kick was changing my steps on my truck. Now these side steps, they were factory, the ones that were on there, and I didn't have a problem with them, but they were chrome. So I did the Raptor liner paint job. And really the color theme that I was going with was green and black. So chrome, I like the badges being chrome, but as far as anything else, I was trying to tone it down. So the issue with all the chrome pieces, like I've told you guys before, is either I have to sandblast them and then cover them with the Raptor liner, or I have to change the parts. Well, with these, I decided that I really liked having the steps that had the bed access step. And so what I'm talking about is like on my extended cab truck, so the crew cab. So you got a step that goes into the front seat, a step that goes into the back seat, and then a step on the very back that's supposed to help you get in the toolbox or in the back of the truck or whatever you need to do. Now with this, truthfully, after it's all said and done, I didn't find it very helpful because you can't really stand on that thing on the very back, at least me with my disabilities and stuff. And I guess you could if you mounted like a handle on the back of the cab or something like that, but I didn't want to do that. So virtually I didn't find that this was the most helpful thing, and it was probably just a waste of money because it does cost extra to have that third step on there. That being said, I do like the way that it looks. So I was watching some YouTube videos because I wasn't sure with my disability how the NFAB steps would do because they are kind of shallow. But truthfully, I've not had any issues with that. But when I was watching the videos, number one, I saw somebody say that they were cheap. And I don't remember exactly how much I paid for them. I kept finding different prices here and there. I found one company that you could buy some that were returned, but then they charged you shipping, so it really didn't save you any money by doing the returned ones versus the new ones. But I will go back and find the price that I put, and I'll put that right here. Now, along with those videos, I watched some install videos, and they, pretty much all these step bars install pretty much the same except for the power ones. So there's a series of holes up underneath the truck on the side of the body right under the doors, and there's three sets of 2 holes. And so essentially all of these mount with those. In the factory ones that I had, you kind of had to put a bolt strip in, and it had a bolt on one side and a nut on the other side. And so you just kind of had to wiggle that in there and get it in there and not drop it into the body, which I did drop one of them. But the NFAB steps, I like their system better. It actually come with like clips. And so it was like a U-shaped clip that had the nut built onto it. And so you just kind of slid it over the edge down over that hole. And whenever you had that centered over that hole, then you could just bolt these right in, and it was no issue at all. But another thing that I saw when I was watching random YouTube videos is somebody was saying that they were having an issue with some rust out of one of theirs after a time, which they believed would be a short period of time. I don't even remember what it was. But because of that, I liked the fit and finish, and it had a textured appearance to start with. But I decided if I'm going to be painting all the other stuff, I did buy a toolbox for the back of the truck that I got off a marketplace that I was going to refurbish a little bit, and I had to do the black line around the bottom of the body of the truck as well. And during all that, and I figured while I had the black out, I was just going to go ahead and go over these NFAB steps with the Raptor liner. So I actually hung them up between a couple of trees on some nylon rope and try to do hanging. Now they weigh quite a bit, and so the way that I had it, I did have a tree in the middle, so both weight wasn't on the same run of rope, but it still hung down lower than I liked it to. Should have put that rope higher because that had me kind of getting down on the ground to spray that outside. So I did go over them both with epoxy primer, and that was after I washed them and went over them with degreaser. And so I went over them with epoxy primer, sprayed it, and then you only have to wait an hour for that. So by the time I went over the toolbox, the steps, and I didn't have to do the epoxy primer on the truck because it already had Raptor liner on it. I just had to scuff it up. So after I went over the toolbox, the steps were dry, and they were pretty much ready to go. So then we did the same process that we do for all the Raptor liner stuff. So I had the black, and I just used the standard gun for this because I wanted it to be more textured anyway. And so I went through and I shot these from kind of both sides and the bottom, tried to get them over every direction, and it covered everything except for where the little rope was that held it to the line that it was hanging on, which was no big deal at all because that's the bracket that actually attaches to the truck, so you'll never see that. But I went over everything and tried to get it as good as possible. It is kind of hard to do with all the angles and the little crooks and crannies in there, so it was kind of hard to do, but I went over it with 2 good solid coats, and then I went over it with a dust coat, and I just waited like 45 minutes in between just so it was kind of dry to the touch, and then I hit it again. And so I did the 2 full coats and the dust coat, and then I let it dry till the next day. Then I took them down and I used those bolt clips like we talked about, and I bolted those things up to the truck. And the install was pretty easy. I just laid it on my fat belly when I was down on my back, held it up. I had to have my daughter hold it up a little bit on the other end. That way I could get those bolts started. The install was no issue at all. So they got them on there. I thought they looked great. Of course, the more things that I got done with the truck, with the black line across the bottom and everything, the more things that kind of made them stand out, especially when I got to the point where I could change the wheels and put the black wheels on. Now I think it all ties it together. It all looks like military tough, and I'm really happy with it. So all in all, I do like the NFAB Steps. I didn't have an issue with how wide the step was, and they're working out great for me so far, and I do highly recommend them. If I can find them on Amazon, I'll put a link down there, but I think that when I looked on Amazon, I think I was able to find them, but they were more expensive, but they kind of pop on and off of Amazon as well. So I'll put a couple of links where you can find those steps down in the description. But thanks guys for joining the family. Thanks for just watching this video till the end, and thanks for being part of our family.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.